She looked at me with those glossy eyes and a soft smile, just like she used to years ago, and gently said, "Jake, all you need to do is sign this, and everything will be fine." The paper she handed me looked like a standard refinancing form. Tiny italic letters danced beneath the title full of banking jargon. I held it, trying to hide the chill crawling up my spine. The ink was still fresh, and so was her smile, a little too soft to be real. My name is Jake Miller, born and raised in the outskirts of Houston, Texas. My life's been all about construction, concrete, steel, and sweat. A lot of folks look at me and assume I'm just a simple guy. Build houses, drink beer, hit the gym home by sundown. And they're not wrong. At least that's who I used to be. Until I met Emily. She was the kind of woman who made a whole room stop when she walked in. Eyes like blue sapphire lips just red enough to make a man forget himself, and a body straight off a real estate billboard. We met at a local bar. I was in my dusty safety vest. She was in a body-hugging office dress, surrounded by her high-end co-workers. Somehow, we connected. We got married 2 years later, after I got promoted to site supervisor for one of Texas's biggest construction firms. And then came the dream apartment, 18th floor, downtown Houston view, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, floor-to-ceiling glass, looking out over the city skyline. Most of the down payment came from my grandfather, an old-school carpenter who spent his life building cabinets and hiding money beneath floorboards. Right before he passed, he pressed a fat envelope into my hands and said, "Anything, in both names. Always keep proof. It's also yours, boy. You never know." I laughed then. It's not funny anymore. Life was good at first. I'd wake up at 4:30, hit the gym, then head to the job site. Emily went to Pilates, showed houses, and bragged about closing million-dollar deals that made me beam with pride. We were that picture-perfect couple, the hard-working blue-collar husband and the sharp, ambitious realtor wife. She'd gripe about me not being romantic. I'd grumble about her taking 3 hours to pick an outfit. Nothing out of the ordinary. Or so I thought. Then one day, Emily started talking about modern women empowerment seminars. She'd dress up like she was heading to a gala, saying it was all about financial growth for independent women. At first, I was proud. My wife was rising up. But then came the late-night calls, the odd receipts, and worst of all, the subtle questions about assets. "Jake, do you remember exactly whose name the condo is under? What if we temporarily refinance it under just mine to get a better rate? You trust me, don't you?" Her voice was syrupy sweet, her eyes unusually gentle. And when she placed my hand on the paper and whispered, "It's just a technicality. We can add you back tomorrow," I knew something was off. But I didn't show it. 8 years in construction taught me this: the more dangerous the crack, the calmer you need to be. That night, after I signed, I walked into the bathroom, shut the door, and stared at myself in the mirror. Same man, same calloused hands. But in my eyes, a storm was rising. I pulled out my phone and called Tom, longtime gym buddy and seasoned divorce attorney. "Tom, I think my wife's about to write me out of our home with a damn pen, but I'm not letting her know I see it coming." Tom replied with just one word: "Good, because now it's time to play for real." Emily kept up the act, smiling, hugging me when I came home, making steak on Fridays. But I knew this wasn't love. It was the glow right before the fire. And I was holding the gasoline. She started coming home late. The excuses were endless, so creative I could have published a damn handbook last-minute showings traffic on I-10 emergency meetings with international clients. But what got me wasn't the excuses. It was the scent in her car. That sharp, expensive masculine cologne. Not the kind I wear. Not the kind I've ever smelled on her. It clung to the leather seats like a warning. I didn't say a word. I kept waking up early, kept coming home covered in concrete dust, kept my poker face on. But I watched her like a builder, checking for cracks in the foundation. I noticed everything. Private phone calls in the bathroom, a sudden obsession with refinancing paperwork, a new gym membership at a downtown building that just so happened to be the same one where Brian Foster's law office sat. Yeah, I did my homework. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't insecure. I was being set up. Tom showed up at my apartment one night. Gym bag slung over his shoulder, briefcase in hand. Ex-military, divorce lawyer, built like a linebacker. This isn't just a shady split, he said. This looks like a setup for property theft. That phrase hit me like a hammer. Property theft. I'd seen guys lose everything home car savings just because they didn't see it coming. But I did. And I wasn't going to let it happen. Tom made a call to Carla, a PI he knew from his military days. Ex-homicide detective turned private bloodhound. She didn't smile. She didn't joke. Give me 2 weeks, she said. I want her schedule places she frequents and a photo of this Brian character. I gave her everything. Then I waited. Week 1 was quiet. Just some photos of Emily sipping overpriced coffee, dressed too sharp for someone showing homes in the suburbs. Week 2. The storm rolled in. I was on site yelling at subcontractors over a busted drainage line when Carla texted me. Target just entered La Marais with male subject. Confirmed Brian Foster. I stopped mid-sentence. My stomach dropped. Brian Foster. The billboard divorce guy. The one with the slogan, "We make your ex pay." Carla sent another message. They kissed in his Porsche. Got it on camera. Sending footage. I didn't yell. Didn't cry. Didn't even call Emily. I opened a spreadsheet on my laptop and titled it Counterattack Plan. I listed everything Carla's photos. The video. Condo documents. Prenup clause. Suspicious bank activity. Emily's new gym location. The next day I came home early. Emily had just left. On the kitchen island open documents. A condo transfer form. Everything filled out, including a forged version of my signature. Damn near identical to mine, but not quite. I took pictures, closed the folder, left everything as it was. That night, Emily came home glowing, holding takeout from a place we couldn't afford even on my best pay week. "Jake," she said sweetly, "I think we're finally set with the refinance. You don't have to stress anymore." I nodded, eyes on the basketball game. "Sounds good, babe." Inside, I was burning, but I stayed silent. Because when a liar thinks they've got you fooled, that's when they make their biggest mistake, and I was waiting for her to make it. The courtroom was cold, not in temperature, but in tension and energy, in the way people's voices dropped just walking in. My boots echoed on the polished tile as I stepped inside, wearing the same black suit I got married in iron-stiff clean lines like armor. I wasn't here for justice. I was here for war. Emily walked in like she owned the place. Ivory pantsuit, hugging her every curve, red heels clicking like applause, her blonde curls bouncing with every step. She didn't even glance at me. She was too busy whispering to Brian Foster, the snake in a suit beside her, the same man who'd kissed her in a Porsche and plotted to steal my home. Judge Margaret Hill sat at the bench. Silver hair glasses chained around her neck face like stone. She tapped the gavel once. "This court is now in session for the matter of property division between Mr. Jake Miller and Mrs. Emily Foster." Brian stood like he was on stage. Your Honor, the matter is clear. The apartment in question is legally in my client's name. Mr. Miller has no legal claim. However, in the spirit of fairness, we propose he retain his personal belongings, his truck, and gym equipment. Emily sat there, with one leg crossed, a smug little smile creeping at the corner of her lips. That smile didn't last. Tom stood up. No introduction, no theatrics. Just presence. His voice was deep, steady. Your Honor, before any decision is made, we have evidence photo video and documented of fraud, forgery, and conspiracy. Brian laughed under his breath. This again. Tom didn't flinch. He walked to the judge's bench and laid down photo after photo. Emily and Brian kissing, signing documents over candlelight at Le Marais, slipping an envelope of cash to a hooded man in a parking garage. The judge raised an eyebrow. The room was dead quiet. We also have video, Tom added. Audio. Mr. Foster telling Mrs. Foster and I, quote, once it's in your name, he can't do anything. And Mrs. Foster replying, I can handle the signature. Brian shot up. Objection. But he didn't finish. Because at that exact moment, the courtroom door opened, and in walked a woman in a blood-red dress, Rachel Foster, Brian's wife. She walked straight up to his table heels, stabbing the floor with every step, and dropped a yellow envelope right in front of him. You've been served, honey. Emily's jaw dropped. Brian's face turned gray. Rachel turned to Emily next. And that Cartier bracelet bought with my joint credit card. I want it back. Emily fumbled with the clasp like it was scalding her skin and set it on the table. Tom spoke again. Calm. Ruthless. Your Honor, per the prenup section. 7, paragraph 3. Any fraudulent attempt to transfer or hide marital assets results in full forfeiture of property rights and mandatory legal fees. Judge Hill took off her glasses. Mr. Foster, are you aware aiding forgery can result in disbarment? I wasn't Mrs. Foster. Are you aware that forging signatures on property documents is a federal offense? Emily started crying. Not fake tears. Real ones. The kind that only show up when a plan crashes into the ground. Tom wasn't done. We're not here for vengeance, just the truth. And we're ready to take this federal if we must. Judge Hill nodded. You won't need to. This is going straight to the DA's office. Emily looked at me through tear-lined eyes. Jake, please, we can start over. I didn't know what I was doing. I met her gaze without a blink. I don't date criminals. The gavel hit wood. This court awards full ownership of the apartment to Mr. Jake Miller. Mrs. Emily Foster forfeits all property rights and is responsible for all legal fees. The transfer is null and void. The matter is referred for criminal investigation. Emily slumped in her chair. Brian didn't say a word. Rachel turned and walked out with her head high, and I stood, adjusted my tie, and left. Not a winner, a survivor. The door closed behind me with a quiet click, but in my chest it echoed like a cannon. That sound wasn't just a door shutting. It was the end of a lie, the end of a marriage, the end of being played for a fool. And for the first time in months, I walked out of somewhere feeling clean. 2 months passed after the trial. Houston hadn't changed. The sun still beat down like it had something to prove. Traffic still choked. The roads, construction sites, still buzzed with the grind of drills and the curse words of men late on deadlines. But I had changed. I was back at work, back to running crews and pouring concrete. But I wasn't the same Jake Miller. I wasn't angry. I wasn't broken. I was sharper, leaner, and more dangerous than I'd ever been, because now I knew how to build and how to burn. Brian Foster. He fell fast. The state bar launched a full investigation. Turns out my case was just the first card in a stacked deck. 12 other men came forward. 12. All stories eerily familiar. Brian advised us to let our wives sign the papers, just to simplify things. Each of them had lost property money, sometimes even custody until now. Rachel didn't just divorce him. She destroyed him. Her lawyer, some high-powered Beverly Hills transplant, tore through Brian's records like a buzzsaw. Offshore accounts, shell companies, fake transactions. The IRS froze everything. His house was seized, his car collection gone, his law license stripped. Last I heard, he was living in a one-room rental near I-45, working at a legal clinic as a paralegal, answering phones for lawyers 10 years younger than him. As for Emily, she didn't fare much better. She pleaded out, got slapped with 18 months probation, 500 hours of community service, and a $50,000 fine. Lost her real estate license. Had her name dragged through every professional network in the state. No one wanted to touch her. Her father, the same man who once warned me not to drag her down, sent her one email. "You brought shame to this family. I have no daughter." She now works the front desk at a dental clinic, lives in a rented guest house behind her mother's place, rides the bus to work, sells off her designer handbags on Craigslist. One afternoon, I saw her. I was leaving the gym with Jessica, my girlfriend. She's a physical therapist, sharp, strong, not afraid to call me on my crap. We'd just finished a brutal leg day. I had sweat down my back and chalk on my palms. Emily walked right past us. No makeup. Hoodie too big for her shoulders. Holding a bag of cheap groceries. Eyes empty. She didn't even notice me. Jessica glanced over. "Do you know her?" I didn't stop walking. Just said used to. That night, I stood on the balcony of my apartment, the one I almost lost, watching the lights of Houston flicker like stars that forgot how to shine. I repainted every room, removed every photo, built new shelves, reclaimed it inch by inch. On one shelf, I carved a line into the wood with my grandfather's old chisel. A man who builds strong foundations never fears the collapse. That's my reminder. That no matter who tries to take from you, no matter how polished their lies, or how deep their betrayal, truth stands. Integrity stands. And when you stand on that, you never fall. Not really. That day in court didn't make me rich. It didn't erase the betrayal, the nights I lay awake wondering if I was a fool, or the ache of signing papers I knew were a trap. But it gave me something no money could buy: my name back, my peace, and a future no one could steal again. 6 months later, I was back in the rhythm of life. Wake up at 4:30, gym at 5, job site by 6:30. But there was something different. People started asking me to talk, not about construction or building permits, but about rebuilding something else yourself. Your dignity, your life after betrayal. I started giving talks at community centers, at job training programs, even at a local college. I wasn't trying to be inspirational. I just told the truth. And the truth, when it's been earned through blood and fire, has power. Brian Foster. He's now officially disbarred in the state of Texas. Can't even touch a courtroom. His name shows up on legal forms under titles like "Avoid This Man" and "Scam Artist Exposed." He pawned his Rolex, sold his vintage cars, lives in a one-bedroom rental where he can barely afford groceries. Poetic justice. No. It's just what happens when you build your empire on sand. Emily. She tried applying for jobs under a fake name. Didn't last. Word gets around. Her felony record shows up in every background check. She begged her father to help her pay the fine. He wrote 5 words: "You made your bed." Lie in it. She still rides the bus. Still rents movies from Redbox. Still checks the mailbox like it might contain a miracle. One evening, I was sipping black coffee on my balcony, scrolling through headlines. One caught my eye. Former divorce attorney faces lawsuit over fraudulent real estate scheme. I smiled, closed the tab, and said out loud to myself, guess karma reads the fine print too. A month later, I spoke at a seminar hosted by the University of Texas building from the Broken. I stood in front of 200 college students, some hopeful, some hurt, some just curious. I told them my story, not as a warning, as a promise, that even if your life gets torched to the ground, you can build again, stronger, smarter, cleaner. Afterward, a student came up to me, maybe 19, shy, said, "Mr. Miller, do you regret anything?" I paused, thought about that damn signature, the nights I didn't speak up. Then I shook my head. Only one thing I said, not trusting my gut sooner. But sometimes, you gotta walk through fire to learn how to build a house that won't burn. That night, I walked out of the gym with Jessica. She wrapped her arm around mine and handed me a protein shake without asking. We laughed about something dumb and light, and then I saw her Emily, crossing the street, carrying a bag of groceries in the rain. No umbrella, wet hoodie, walking like the world was too heavy. Jessica asked, "You know her?" I looked straight ahead. Just someone who thought concrete was permanent when it was really just painted drywall. We kept walking, and I realized something right then. I wasn't just healed, I was free. So if you're listening to this now, hear me be honest, be strong, and always read the fine print. Because when you do, you'll never be the one left in the rubble.